Wendell.
In 1 Corinthians 13, it says that love does not keep a record of wrongs.
Yes, there you go. Love keeps no record of wrongs. And there's another antithetical belief. But yet we have the idea, and we'll come up in the lesson in a short bit, that God has got his guardian angel, or excuse me, recording angels following you around to record all your wrongs. Now, does the Bible teach there's record books? Yes, it does. Can you harmonize love keeps no record of wrongs, God is love, therefore God keeps no record of wrongs, with the fact the Bible keeps records? Do you have harmony with those?
I keep records.
Yes, why do you keep records? What kind of records do you keep, Wendell? Maybe everybody doesn't know what you do. What do you do?
I'm a physician.
You're a physician. Why do you keep records?
To see what is wrong so I can fix it.
And?
The record of it being getting well.
Okay, so if you remember the story, it tells in one of my books. When I was in medical school here, I did my 4th year of medical school here at Erlanger. And when I was doing an ER rotation, there was a helicopter crash at Level Field here in Chattanooga, and they brought all the victims to the ER. And one of the victims had a fractured pelvis and broken femur, and she was hemorrhaging into the tissues. She wasn't hemorrhaging outside her body, but she was bleeding into the tissues of her body, and it would still result in exsanguination. In other words, she was going to bleed out and die, so she needed surgery and she needed transfusions. But she was alert and awake and understood when she came in, and she was a Jehovah's Witness. And she refused blood transfusions. And immediately when she told us that, something started happening. The head nurse assigned one nurse to stand in that room and do one thing and one thing only. Record. 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 Her job was simply to record everything that happened in that room. And then intercession began. The nurses, the doctors, the medical students began pleading with her, explaining to her, educating her, begging her, let us save you, let us, here's what's going to happen. The auto transfusers, where they could use them, were being used to, she would accept her own blood coming back into her body, and to the degree we could do that, we were doing that. She would accept IV fluids, and we were trying to expand with volume enhancers and trying to do that, but she was still bleeding out internally. We couldn't recycle that blood. Had no access to it. The hospital administrators came down and began to plead. A hospital attorney came down. Everybody's interceding with her, and then yet she says no. And at some point, she finally passes out, loses consciousness. And guess what? Intercession stopped. We stopped pleading. We stopped interceding. Why did we stop interceding? Because we don't care anymore? We don't want to help her? She's reached the limits of our patience with her. The cup of our wrath is filled full. No, she's beyond responding to us anymore. And the whole time, this nurse is documenting. Now, I'm going to tell you, every person on that helicopter lived except her. She died. She was African American. The others weren't. Do you see a problem potentially setting up here? Now, what happens if the family brings a lawsuit against the doctors and the hospital for failing to save this woman when they saved everybody else? They allege all types of biases, all types of racial injustice.
It's documented.
What will then come into evidence?
The records.
Are the records coming into evidence to judge and condemn and punish this woman?
No.
Or to exonerate the healthcare team that they did everything they could and there was nothing more they could do? That's the purpose of the heavenly records. The records are being kept not as keeping a record of wrongs. Love keeps no record of wrongs, but love keeps records. But not to judge and punish by, but to demonstrate that when anyone is lost in the end, it will be revealed when you look at the records and the history of what actually happened. God was there with every agency he had, pleading, working, interceding, and intercession only stopped when that person went beyond the point that nothing would reach them anymore. And it will be shown that they're only lost by their own insistence in refusing to let God heal. So there's a place. We have harmony now. Isn't it beautiful? This is what we have to do. We have to be able to take Scripture, and we have to see it in its larger reality. We have to be able to harmonize